other two episodes, what we went through was getting these traps ready to put in the ground, putting the Positrip style pans on them so we have as much kill area and that they're really reliable pans. Alright, then we went through treating your traps, modifying them, changing the chain out. Now then today what we're going to go through is putting an actual coyote set in the ground. We're going to bed this trap, lure and bait it. We're going to go through why we picked this location and everything. So we're going to try to get you ready to actually putting some coyotes in the bed of the truck. Okay, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut myself out of most of this one so that you can get a feel for exactly what's going on here. I picked this location down. We've got a staked down beaver a few yards behind me on down the road. And up here is just a gap going through this road. And in between here what I've got is this spot here. And why I picked this out is because it's got natural foot guidance on its own. I'm not having to add a lot here to block this coyote down. I'm blocked down here, then I've got this large grass clump up here that I'm going to use. And I'm going to put my trap, we're going to bed the trap right in here, going this way. Because I see that coyote approaching through here. We're going to put a lot of bait in this large grass clump. We're going to have urine, we're going to have some type of lure probably in each one of these. We're going to have a lot to really get that coyote's foot moving, a lot of curiosity built into it. So we're going to have grass clump, and then we've got this big one that's going to hold most of our bait right here. So we're just trying to cause a lot of intrigue, and we've got this coyote force through here simply by nature itself. It's nothing that we done. We didn't add it, which you could, that's fine, but it was already here. So this is what really made this area stand out to me, is that this large grass clump here, I can really tuck in some bait. I just wanted you to get a feel for what we're actually doing here and why I picked this spot. We've got a gap through the road right there that connects it to another road, and back in behind me we've got a staked down bait. So we've got a reason for him to come here, and we've got a reason for him to step here. Okay, so this is where the trap was that we just showed you. This is where we're going to put it. And after you've bedded a lot of traps, you don't have to do this. You'll kind of get a feel for how big you want to dig this hole. But we've got to dig a hole here, and you can make you a mark if you want to kind of keep you from digging such a large area out. You want to dig it to match this trap, kind of like making a mold for this trap. Okay, kind of know where that is. And I'm just going to start digging that out. Okay, let's set this to the side. Then I'll take my trap and sit it in there. See, I hadn't dug up for my levers yet. And I'm just kind of pressing down here, making an outline in the dirt. You can use a shovel to do it, however you want to do that. And I'm actually going to make a cutout, especially for those levers, instead of digging out just a big hole. Like I say, we're wanting to make a mold for this trap, so we're not disturbing any more ground than we have to. It'll make it a lot easier to bed the trap and get it stable. And I dig down in the middle of that hole in the bottom. You need somewhere for your chain to go. I like staking mine down up under the trap when I can. Now if you can see that on camera, this is what you want. You want to push down on all these corners of this trap, and we actually got pretty lucky. Like I say, after you do it a bunch of times, you'll get the feel for how big the hole that you dig out needs to be. But if you hit this corner here and that trap tilts up like that, that's what it's going to do when a coyote steps on it. So that's a problem. What you want is for that trap to be bedded solid, it's called. Very little movement when you actually put it in the hole. So that's good right there. And once you get it that close, even if it wouldn't, you can just take your big hammer and kind of pound the ground out and finish your beds lots of times like that instead of having to dig more. Okay, now I'm taking, this is called a Berkshire heavy duty stake. Taking that, and I take my stake driver, I slide it down in here. Okay, and it's just on a cable attached to my chain. Get it started, and I'm going to drive that down. Pull this back out. That's the nice thing about those. You can carry 100 of those little cable stakes in just one stake driver like this, and it doesn't weigh very much at all. Not a lot of stuff to have to keep up with compared to rebar. There's some areas that are very, very rocky where I'll still carry my rebar stakes. But you see, I drove that under there, letting my chain fall under there as well. Okay, got that trap in there. I forgot my pan cover. I'll have to get us a pan cover. And there's a few different options you can use here, but we're fixing to cover all this up with dirt and kind of make it blend somehow right in here so the coyote don't see it. But there's several different options, and if we just covered this all up with dirt right now, the minute it rained, you would have dirt getting under this pan. Coyote steps on the pan, it has to go down to catch him. So we have to have some way of protecting to keep dirt from getting up under there. And that's what we're about to do right now. Okay, this is my favorite pan cover. It's just, and you can see I don't really cut it out to be perfect. This is just aluminum window screen. I just cut it out. I don't go under the jaws with mine. I just make it to where nothing can get under the pan. I cut it out to where it fits around it. You can bend it pretty easily, and then I cut this little notch out. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but I cut this little notch out right here. That's for the dog, so that it can fly open. Okay, so we're just going to set that over the pan. I've got this sitting here. That's another option. I've used it a lot. And this is just pillow stuffing, polyfill. You can take it and shove it up under the pan. It's real simple and it's effective. Alright, so there's your two different methods, and there's a lot of different methods you can use. I've got a buddy right now who's trying out, he's cutting coconut liners, and he's going to be telling us how that all works out. So, just because I say it don't mean it's the only way for sure, but I'm just showing you my favorite methods, and that's the aluminum wire screen. I really like it because it just seems to last better through the rains and things like that. So I'm just setting that over that pan. Now the next thing we'll do is I'll start filling in the inside of this with peat moss. Peat moss you can purchase just about anywhere. It stays dry for a very long time. You can run it through your sifter now, or you can pre-sift it. I usually just run mine through the sifter as we go. Now this year's been pretty unique for my area where I'm trapping right now. It's been really, really warm, so I'm not worrying about antifreezing that much right now. If you're in an area where you need antifreeze, this is one of my favorite ways of doing it. This mixture right here is about a 50-50 mixture of glycol and coyote urine. And what I like to do when I'm using it, I'm going to pull this trap back out just to show you in case you're having to deal with freezing temps, is spray the bottom of this bed with this mixture. Okay, I got my spray bottle working. Like I was talking about, you just want to spray this bed down, lightly wet it, anywhere that the metal's going to be touching that trap. I just go around it and I spray that whole area down with the glycol and urine mixture. Then I'll set my trap down in there. Okay, bed it good. Now we're going to go on with the peat moss. And I just throw the excess out to the side. And I know how much pan tension. If you watch the other video, how much pan tension I'm running. I'm just holding this screen really in place so that I'm not picking it up as I'm moving this peat moss around. So I'm basically just filling that up to where it's flush with the top of the trap. And I don't mind giving that a little top coat of glycol as well. Okay. Now then, I'm going to hop up and I'm going to get a bucket of dry dirt. It rained here a lot last night, so everything's just mud. Get it out of the back. Now then we got our dry dirt. I'm going to top coat this with dry dirt. You can move this around. I pretty much know where my pan is to where I see the pan there. Alright, now I'm going to start lightly tamping around it so that nothing is soft. You don't want that coyote coming off of hard ground into something that sinks. You want it all to feel natural and it all to feel basically the same. I lightly tamp that. Now I'm going to give it another little top coat. Basically what we've got there is about a 1/2 inch probably of dirt covering. Okay, that stands out like a sore thumb. I've got new dirt that I brought in from a different area over one spot here. Okay, the coyote will probably take notice of that. So when I say blended area, it doesn't necessarily mean that you make it all look just the same as everything around it. Sometimes what you have to do, see that trail coming in? I'm going to move that dirt and make this whole area look messed up with this dirt that I brought in. And if you can see this line right here in the camera, where that trap stops, the dirt stops, you don't want that. We're going to feather that line out with this dirt that I brought in. Okay. Now then, that basically all looks the exact same. Get frost coming. When you're using this mixture, it's important. I'm not starting at my trap. I'm starting beyond the trap, and I'm spraying this whole area here down so that you're not giving away to the coyote where the trap is. You can use a little bit of grass covering if you want to. I'm just throwing just something around the top of it to somewhat blend it a little bit better. Okay, so we're just going to take some of this bait, tuck it in there. That's our Coyote Creator bait. Tuck it in that spot. We're going to tuck some over here. I'm just kind of spreading it out where that coyote's got to move a little bit more. Okay, a little bit more in there. And with that bait just being tucked in that grass, it'll last through a lot of rain. We'll still have something functioning here. Now I'm going to take our gland lure. I'm just going to put a little bit there on the end of this stick. It's just a popsicle stick. And I'm going to shove that in the ground a little bit. And I'm going to pick that grass back up and kind of cover up that popsicle stick. So we've got our gland lure here. We've got bait all in this grass clump. Then I'm going to take our coyote chum. I'm just going to scatter it a little bit there. A little bit there, and we're going to put a little bit out here, and then take my glove off, pour a little bit. We're just going to scatter probably the equivalent of about 3 tablespoons out here in the road behind me to get him to stop. So our chum stops him out there in the road. If the wind's blowing wrong, that'll still stop him. All right, so he stops. He starts picking up the chum. He starts milling around looking for more, so we got more here, more here, and we've got a whole smorgasbord basically of odors here to get him concerned and get him to moving his feet. And with him blocked down right here, we've got a real good chance to connect him with this set. So I think you'll be real successful when you start looking for different ways to block these down. You start picking out these big grass clumps. If you're using these sets, you're still working. When it rains, it's not like a dirt hole that fills up with water. This is all still working. That lure may wash down in that grass clump and leave our popsicle stick, but it's still there. So we're going to have something working here no matter what the weather does, basically.